Hello everybody, my name is Lavanya Mahate and I'm the owner of Saffron Valley Restaurants. Today I'm going to show you how to make gulab jamuns. Gulab jamuns are these round donut holes that are soaked in a sweet syrup, served at Indian restaurants. Mostly if you've eaten at an Indian buffet, it's almost always there. Liked by everybody and easy to make, so let's get started. Making gulab jamuns is a three-step process. So first we're going to make the sugar syrup for the gulab jamuns, and then we're going to make the dough, and finally we're going to cook the dough and soak it in the sugar syrup. So let's get started with the syrup. For the sugar syrup, I'm going to start with 4 cups of sugar, just white sugar. So this is 2. Two more cups of sugar, so a total of 4 cups of sugar and 4 cups of water. So it's equal amounts of sugar and water. So you could do 1 cup of sugar to 1 cup of water, 2 cups of sugar to 2 cups of water, depending on how many gulab jamuns you're making. So today I'm using 4 cups of sugar and 4 cups of water on a medium heat. I'm going to mix the sugar so it dissolves in the water. You want to make sure that you gently stir it so the sugar gets dissolved in the water for the first couple of minutes. And then we'll bring it to a boil for about 5 minutes until it forms a sticky syrup. But in the beginning, we want to make sure that we stir and dissolve the sugar in the water, or else the sugar will stick to the bottom of the pan. The sugar has dissolved in the water and it's come to a boil. It's been boiling for about 8 minutes now and it looks pretty good. I'm just going to finish this syrup with some cardamom powder. It's green cardamoms that the skin has been removed and it's been powdered. You could use a blender or a mortar and a pestle to grind up the seeds to make a cardamom seed powder just like this. And I'm going to use about 1 teaspoon of the cardamom powder for the syrup. And just, it smells so fragrant. The cardamom just hits your senses, and this syrup is ready to go. So I'm going to set this aside and we're going to start on the dough, making the dough for the gulab jamuns. For the dough, I'm taking 2 cups of non-fat milk powder, which comes in a granulated form just like this. So 2 cups of non-fat milk powder and 1 cup of all-purpose flour. So the ratio is 2:1, so 2 cups of the milk powder to 1 cup of all-purpose flour, and a teaspoon of baking powder. I'm actually going to use my hands to break up the granules. It's a little bit quicker like that too. Next, I'm going to take heavy whipping cream. I started with about 2 cups and we'll see how much we need. And mix it and use just enough to make a smooth dough. I'm actually going to use my hands to make this dough. It's just so much more easier and you have more control just using your fingers to incorporate the cream and the flour, and it begins to look a bit like breadcrumbs. So I'm going to use just a little by little, make it a nice smooth dough. The gulab jamun gets its richness and its sweetness from the heavy cream mixed with the milk powder and the flour. Just melts in your mouth and forms this really soft and spongy donut hole. There's not an exact amount of how much cream we should add, because every time it's ever so slightly different. But it's a good idea to have 2 cups of heavy cream for the 2 cups of non-fat milk powder that we used in here. You don't want the dough to be too runny or too dry, so it's all mixed up nicely, and there's a little bit of liquid on the surface, and it's a little sticky, but it'll all work out fine. We want to rest this dough for about 10 to 15 minutes, covered with a damp paper towel, just so the dough doesn't dry out. So we're ready to make the balls for the donut holes. So I'm going to take some ghee, or you could even take butter or oil to smear on your palm so the dough doesn't stick and actually forms a smooth ball. So the size you want to make these balls is about a quarter size of a quarter, and you want to make them nice and smooth so there are no visible cracks or lines on the surface, and actually forms a nice smooth ball like that. So these donut holes are the balls after you fry them and soak them in the sugar syrup, about double in size. So these are going to be pretty big gulab jamuns, which is what everybody loves. So if you want them smaller, you could go like a bit smaller, but I like these large gulab jamuns, so I'm going with the size of a quarter. Make sure you take the time to roll them, just putting enough pressure on the outside and rolling them into a round, smooth ball. So I'm going to just finish making all these balls, and then I have the oil set to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit to fry the gulab jamun balls in. So I just finished making all the balls with the dough that we made, and I have my fryer filled half with vegetable oil, and it's up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to fry these balls in the hot oil. A good way to test if the oil is ready for frying is I had this small leftover piece that I'm going to drop in there to test if the oil is ready, and if it is, this ball will sink into the oil and rise to the top in less than 30 seconds. If it just sinks in and doesn't come up, it means the oil is not hot enough. And if it rises up really quickly and turns like black or brown, the oil is too hot. So let's go ahead and test this. Awesome. So our oil is ready. So I'm going to go ahead and drop these balls in the oil and fry them for about 5 to 8 minutes. You don't want to overcrowd the pan, so just put like maybe 12 at a time, and we could cook this in a couple of batches. And you want to make sure that they're brown on all sides, so you want to gently roll them in the oil so they get the even color. Okay, so the gulab jamuns have fried for about 8 to 10 minutes, and I'm going to drain those on a paper towel until I finish cooking the rest of the donuts. And then we're going to put everything in the sugar syrup. So the frying really happens at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's important to maintain that temperature and fry these in smaller batches rather than overcrowd the pan and bring the temperature of the oil down. So I'm frying about 12 at a time. You can make these a bit darker too. And there's another dish called Kala Jamun. Kala means black. So when they become really dark brown and almost black, it's the same recipe to make Kala Jamuns. Today we're making Gulab Jamun, so we want them golden brown and not too dark. The Gulab Jamuns are all fried, and the sugar syrup, I'm just bringing it to just a slight warm temperature because it's been about half an hour since we made this. So it's just warm. It need not be hot. And these Gulab Jamuns are nice and warm as well. So you want both the Gulab Jamuns and the syrup to be a warm temperature. So I'm going to place the Gulab Jamuns in the syrup. And we're going to let it soak about half an hour or more. A couple of hours is really good if you have the time, but at least half an hour to let the Gulab Jamuns absorb all the sugar syrup and become soft and delicious. I'm going to just let this sit for half an hour, and then we're going to check on it and taste them. They've puffed up from all the frying and all the soaking and the syrup, and really soft, and they look delicious. I can't wait to try them. And they're just, it cuts really well, means it's all soft and really soaked well. It's so good. The milk powder and the cream give it such a rich taste, and with the sweetness of the sugar and the cardamom flavors, this is really a treat that I will never pass any day, and I can eat all of these. I really hope you can try these at home, and let us know how you like this. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.